What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Dirt City Gym, back with another video for y'all today. So today we are taking a look at one of my favorite leaders, probably my favorite leader in the entire game. If any of y'all have been following the channel for a while, or any like the podcasts I've been on and different things like that, I've always talked about Set 1, StarterKu has always been my favorite leader of the game. He's still my favorite leader. He's not had a lot of success at all for a long time, actually. But he's like super nostalgia for me. I think he still has one of the better abilities in the game in terms of a leader ability. So I do really enjoy him. And I'm happy to kind of present a new kind of way to go about playing him. I don't think this is by any stretch of the imagination like high tier or anything like that, but I do think it makes him playable, which for me is just a bonus. So let's go ahead and get into the list. Alright, so we've got our leader, Super Saiyan Godson Goku, and then on the back he is Super Saiyan Godson Goku, the Soul Striker. On his front, auto whenever this card attacks, choose up to one of your blue energy and switch it to active mode, and then awaken, he's a draw 2 leader. And then on his backside, during your turn, if you have 5 or more energy, this card gains plus 5,000 power, and then auto whenever this card attacks, draw 1 card, then choose up to 2 of your blue energy and switch it to active mode. So on your awakening turn, he essentially gets the best of both worlds. He becomes a draw 2 leader and an untap 2 leader, which I think is really cool. You do have to sequence it correctly to make sure you get that full effect. I do think that in and of itself is really strong. He does have a lot of the downfalls of what's in the current format. Unfortunately, since he is a blue leader, blue got the major hits with all of the Tien Shinhan returning fire, the Whis and the Borgos type effects, where if you untap energy, they pop in energy. So his untap effect is subject to that, but we have ways in this deck to kind of get around that, which I think are useful for us. So let's go ahead and get into the list. So first up, we've got 2 Further Destruction Choppa. This is just a great way to kind of close out games, kind of surprise, kind of really apply pressure. It's a 1-cost 10k combo. Whenever you combo with this card, choose one of your attacking cards. It gains Double Strike, which is really, really good. Next up, we've got 4 Beerus, the Fickle God. This is really one of the cards that led me to want to take another look at StarterKu, because it's both a blue-yellow energy, and then whenever you put it in your energy area, if you already have a blue-yellow card there, you don't have to use energy exhaust, so it just comes into play. Since it's technically a blue energy, whenever you swing with StarterKu, you can untap it, so it's really good to get past energy exhaust in general. Like you can play this down on turn 1, then swing with your leader and untap it, so you still have ways to play on your first turn, which is really, really nice. And then as you get later into the game, having access to untap both the blue and yellow energy at the same time is really, really nice. Next up, we've got 4 Undying Spirit Son Gohan. So it's a 3-drop 1 blue, 15k. Counterplay, play this card permanent. If a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it becomes a 2-drop. And then auto, whenever you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and return it to its owner's hand. Then, if it's your opponent's turn, choose one of your blue energy and switch it to active mode. So a lot of what we're doing in this deck is taking advantage of the fact that we get to play stuff on our opponent's turn and tap energy on our turn. So a lot of these counterplays work really well with StarterKu. I think there's a lot of synergy here, and this one in particular because it untaps an energy as well. So while it technically costs 2, you're effectively only paying 1 for it because it's untapping an energy, which is really nice. It's bouncing stuff back to your opponent's hand, getting it off the board that we don't want to deal with, which is really nice. Then on our turn, once it's in play, it's a 15k beat stick, which is always really nice. 15k is really just kind of like the base minimum you need for applying pressure, and constant 15k pressure is really annoying to deal with. It starts adding up. Next up, we've got 4 Adoptive Father Son Gohan, so 1-drop, 1 yellow, 4k. Swap 2 for free, so you can play Goku's lineage with swap 2. And then blocker. So this is kind of how we're getting our engine going. Similar to what we're doing in like the Pan deck, we're trying to be really efficient with what we're playing on our turn, and being able to utilize the swap engine really lets us do that. So that's really where I like applying a lot of pressure. We can start applying pressure really early with the Gohans and swapping these into the dependable dynasties and really get good value there. Next up, we've got 4 Dependable Dynasty Son Goku, excuse me. It's a 2-drop 2 yellow, 15k, swap 3 for 2 yellow. So the Adoptive Father swaps into Dependable Dynasty Son Goku for free, which is really nice. And then he just starts swinging, and then he has a swap target we'll get into here in a little bit. Next up, we've got 3 Champa the Trickster. It's a 3-drop 1 yellow, 15k, counterplay, play this card. Permanent, if a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it becomes a 2-drop. And then auto, whenever you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, switch it to rest mode, then draw one card if it's your opponent's turn. So this is like a Mutai-Ito type effect. You know, they play something, you counterplay, play the Champa, then his auto triggers, so this gets past Deflect, which is really nice. This prevents big threats from, you know, really bothering you. You can just tap it down, so you don't have to worry about it. Plus, you get to draw a card, which is really cool. StarterKu's always lacked some reliable draw power, so being able to, this card effectively replaces itself on your opponent's turn is really nice. And then the same thing with the Gohan. It's a 15k battle card that can just start swinging in on your turn, so keep applying that pressure. Next up, we've got 4 Source of Power Son Goku. It's a 3-drop 1 yellow, 15k. It's a Goku's Lineage, so the Dependable Dynasty for 2 can swap into this. So you can go like turn 1, adopt a father, or swap into Dependable Dynasty, swing at Dependable Dynasty. If it lives on turn 2, if you've got a second yellow, you can pay 2 and swap into this guy. So he is a 15k auto once per turn. Whenever this card attacks, you may choose up to 2 cards from your life and add them to your hand. If you choose to add 1 or more cards to your hand, switch this card to active mode, and it gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So this is effectively Digging Deep Vegeta. It's got the same text, except this one we can swap into, so we don't have to pay the 3 for it. We can just go into from Dependable Dynasty into this, which allows us to go into an effectively 20k dual attack, which is really, really nice. It's also Awakening, which is good for us because we don't have a way to like self-awaken with our leader or anything like that. So able to use options like this is really nice for us. These can start really adding up and applying a lot of pressure. These are really great cards, especially with the swap engine. Alright, next up we've got 4 Crisis Crusher Son Goku. So this is kind of what we were talking about as our response to a lot of these Borgos and Whis type effects. As long as those are in the format, we have to find ways to play around this with this leader. It's a 3-drop black card, 5k, permanent. If there are no battle cards in play in your battle area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2, so you just pay 1 for it. Permanent, players can attack with battle cards with an energy cost of 1. That's not super relevant to us. There are situations where it can be. It prevents things like Intensifying Power Trunks, or saying Kaba, Newfound Power Son Gohan, Awakening Talent Panda Swing. So we can kind of prevent that if we need to go against like aggro and different things like that. And then really what he's here for is the activate main once per turn. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and KO it. So this is the card that pops like the Borgos and the Whis and the Raditz and different things like that. So we don't have to deal with those. So we're freely able to untap our energy. So that's why we got 4 of, because in those particular type matchups, this card is super important to us. And then next up we've got 2 Fu the Dark Vanisher. It's an 8-drop black card, triple attack, 25k, overwhelm 8 for 4 energy. Permanent, your opponent can't activate skills unless they choose 1 card from their hand and send it to their warp. This works really nice for us, so we can like go 4, play this, and then now, you know, negates and all that kind of stuff become really taxing on our opponent. And then if we swing with our leader, now we get to untap 2 energy, so we're effectively paying 2 for the Fu. And then now we're really able to continue to extend that turn. We can start pairing like Champas and stuff with the Fu and start really like applying pressure, which is really nice. For our super combo, we're running 4 North Kai Keeping Watch. We are running Overwhelm, so I don't typically like running Sparking, and so this is just kind of our best option in terms of our 4 life or less super combo. Moving into the extra cards, we're running 4 Dimension Magic, just one of the better negates in the game, or blue, so why not? 4 Sensu Bean, again, we're running blue, it's probably still one of the better cards in the game, allows us to extend our turn, or plays on our turn. More importantly, it's a really great defensive option. We're able to give our leader plus 5k and then untap 2 energy, which is really nice. Next up, we've got 3 Frost Deadly Poison, another great addition to this deck since we're untapping energy on our turn, and we're able to play threats on our opponent's turn or counterplays. So it's a 3-drop, 1 blue, 1 yellow. It's got energy exhaust and then counterplay. The battle card your opponent is playing is played in rest mode with its skills negated for the duration of the turn. Then draw 1 card. Then, if your life is at 3 or less, choose up to one of your blue or yellow energy and switch it to active mode. So, if we're at 3 life or less, this effectively becomes a 2-drop. A 2-drop that draws this card, and then it has a Cold Bloodlust plus Crusher Ball type effect, which is incredibly powerful. There's a lot of effects in the game that we really just don't want to deal with, whether it be like Chain Attack Trunks and like Xenos, Chain Attack into Bobbities, or just a straight hardcast Bobbity. You can play this and just keep that from happening, which is really good. 3 energy is pretty easy for us to have open. Because we're untapping 2 once we're awakened, or untapping 1 on our unawakened side, and then it untaps an energy itself. So then you can still go into like Sensu Beans and different things like that, and then have access to more counterplays, and kind of really extend those turns and really do a lot on your opponent's turn, which is nice for us. And then finally, 4 Successor of Hope. So this is a 0 cost yellow extra card. Activate main, choose up the 1 Goku's Lineage with an energy cost of 5 or less and swap from your deck, and then add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this lets us find our Adopt a Father and our Dependable Dynasty. This effectively makes us like have a 46 card deck. We can just play this for free, go get something. It's like a nice draw there. Lets us get a lot of pieces that we need to kind of go up our chains and do different things like that. A really great utility card. But overall, I do, like I said, I don't think this deck is like tier 1 by any stretch of the imagination. It could probably comfortably fit in like a tier 2.5, tier 3. I do think it has a lot of interesting effects because we are consistently just like playing stuff on our opponent's turn. We're tapping their stuff down, we're returning stuff to their hand. We're being very controlly in that aspect, and then we're getting bodies on board that we can start swinging with. And then on our turn, we're playing things like super efficiently. We're going 1 to effectively play like a 2-drop with the 15k Dependable Dynasty. We're paying 2 to get a 3-drop that becomes a 20k dual attacker. Working our way up to just really kind of like wear them down with our 15ks and our swing with our leader and things like that to get into the Fu, and then kind of close out games there. So a lot of different options there. Frost's Deadly Poison, I think, is one of the better cards in the game. It's one of the more overlooked cards in the game because it is relatively expensive, but because of what our leader does, we're able to mitigate that quite a bit, actually. And then just having a leader that can play stuff on our turn, swing, untap energy to leave energy open for counterplays on our opponent's turn is just really, really strong in my opinion. I do think this has some of a glimmer of a hope for StarterKu, just because that does a lot of things that really there's a lot of synergy here, like I said. But anyway, guys, that is it, and we will see y'all next time.